Hi guys, Shell from the Journey to Freedom here. First of all, I've got to apologise for the lack of videos we've had lately. It's really busy just now. Spring's always busy, getting the garden ready, sowing seeds, stuff like that. Getting the outside area prepared for quails going outside. We've been breeding rabbits, lots of stuff going on. Springtime is also busy with foraging, which I love. With foraging, springtime is all about the wild garlic and the few flowered leek and the three-cornered leek, which are all really similar plants. So I've been really busy foraging for that. I like to get as much as I can because it's only out for a little while, it's only here for a short period of time, so I like to enjoy it while it's here. I do also preserve some so I can enjoy it later in the year. It doesn't freeze particularly well and it doesn't dehydrate particularly well, so I like to ferment it. I also pickle the buds. You can also preserve it by putting it in cheese, but my preference is for fermenting it. So today I thought I would take you down to the woods to where I gather wild leek, wild garlic, and then come back and show you how I ferment it. So let's go for a little wander in the woods and see if we can find some. So guys, this is where we come for our garlic usually, and it's in the woods but it's by a river, so that's kind of what you're looking for, is somewhere shady but also quite damp. That's where wild garlic tends to thrive. So if you've got woodlands near you that have got a stream, that would be a great place to start. They're quite easily identifiable. Wild garlic gets these big fat broad leaves. The wild leek is slightly narrower, and the other obviously easiest way to tell is by the strong smell of garlic that you'll smell as you're walking about. And later in the season they will have white flowers. Right now you can see they're still just buds, these little buds. So if you think you found wild garlic, the best thing to do is pick a bit, tear it, give it a smell or even a taste, and you'll know right away if it's garlic. So with me today I've got my little foraging kit, so I've got a little basket. I also have a little bag. Try and find a pure cotton bag because you might want to use it for extra space. I always have my foraging book. This is an excellent book, I'll leave a link below with the details for this. It's a really good beginner book. It's really comprehensive. So I always bring that with me, just to check. I sometimes bring my my little trowel. I sometimes, like, if there's anything I want to dig up from the roots, but today all I'm using is my knife. This is one of the Japito Japanese gardening kit knives. I bought the whole kit recently and I've really been enjoying it. I'll leave a link set below. I'm going to actually do a review on it, but today I've got the little knife with me. So what you want to do is you just want to take small amounts from each plant. Don't over harvest because you don't want to damage the plant and you don't want to make it struggle in the future. Plus, if you're gathering just small amounts at a time, you're less likely to pick up things that you don't want, because you can see over here there's some other leaves that look really similar, but we don't want them. So yeah, just a small handful from each plant and just cut it about just under the leaf stem, and that's all you're really looking for. So I'm going to fill up my basket. Mr. D's over there somewhere gathering up some more. Fern's here with us. Hey pup. A little foraging dog. So I'm going to fill up this basket. Now I'm going to take it home and we'll get started with the fermentation process. Hi Fern, thank you. Good girl. So guys, we're back in the kitchen. The first thing we need to do before we start anything else is to wash our plants, so let's do that. So the first stage with fermenting wild garlic or leeks is to wash it. So I've just packed some into my colander here. I'm going to take it over the sink and give it a good rinse. So pretty simple, just rinse it with cold water, not warm, and just agitate it slightly, move it around and get all the dirt out. A few minutes is more than adequate. You can discard any, again, that you find while you're going through it that don't look great, or anything that you find that shouldn't be in there. So it's another chance to have a good look through. So I just leave it to drain just for a minute or two. You can even compress it slightly just to push the worst of the water out. And then we take it back over to our mixing bowl. So you want quite a big bowl for mixing in and for getting this salted and ready to go. So you're just going to start layering it in, and then you can put your next batch in here and take it over and rinse it. Wait for a second. But before you put the next layer onto here, you want to start salting it, and it just makes it easier if you salt it by the layer than having to try and mix the salt through it. So what I'm using is natural rock salt. I've just ground this in my pesto. Any natural salt works fine. Himalayan pink salt, you want to avoid iodized salts, but this works pretty well. So I just put a good sprinkle on like this. Then I will put another layer of leaves on. So these are washed, another layer of leaves and buds going in here. And again, just keep salting them as you put them on. Compress them down. You're going to need, for a litre jar, you're probably going to need most of, like a basket this size or like a carrier bag. You will need most of it. Depends on your jar size, it depends how much you're cramming in. But I tend to use most of a basket like this. So I'm going to put the third and last layer on. So last layer on, our bowl is packed now. One last sprinkling of salt over this huge bowl, and this is heavily compressed. You know, this is heavy. There's a lot of matter in here. I've probably used about 2 teaspoons of salt overall, maybe a little bit more. So just agitate it slightly, let the salt get in there. It'll start dissolving pretty quickly. And all I do now is leave this for about 2 hours, and what will happen is the salt is going to start our process of drawing liquid out. So you can see, I don't know how well you can see, but there's no liquid really in the bottom of here just now, but we'll come back and we'll see how much liquid has been drawn out of here after a few hours. So our leaves have been sitting for about an hour and 45 minutes. You can see, well I hope you can see, they've started to break down a little bit. Now if we look in the bottom now, don't know how well you can see because the light, but there's a lot of liquid in here now. That's exactly what we want. That's the salt starting to draw liquid out of the leaves. Now what you want to do is just get your hands in there and start breaking it down a bit. Just give them a good massage. You want them to start breaking up, you know, bruising, wilting, and a lot more liquid is going to start coming out of these. You can feel it sponging out it. I give this a good 5 minutes of mushing, so I'm going to get on with that and then come back and show you when I'm finished that stage. So I've been smooshing this around for a good 5 minutes. As you can see, it's darker now, it's bruised, it's starting to lose its shape. There's a lot of liquid coming out of this. Beautiful, lovely fermentation liquid. Some of the buds are starting to burst. We're getting these little explosions of beautiful little garlic flowers. They're going to look so pretty in the jar. These are the buds here. You can actually pickle these on their own and they're amazing pickled, but look, they're full of these beautiful little flowers. Aren't they lovely? So yeah, that's where we are just now. So the next stage is clean plate, Ideally you want one that kind of covers it. I don't have one. Mine are either slightly too big or slightly too small, so I'm going with this one, and I'm just going to tuck everything sort of under it. It's amazing how, you know, this bowl was brimming before. It's amazing how much it squishes down. So yeah, this on, then something heavy. I'm just using this pint glass full of water just to keep it compressed. And then I'll just pop a clean towel back over it again, and it's going to stay like this for another hour, just to let more of the liquid start to drain out before we jar it up. So I'm going to leave it like this for an hour, and then we'll come back and have another look. So guys, our leaves have been sitting, squashing under our plate for another hour. They've softened up even more. They're starting to get the smell that I associate with lacto fermentation with these, and it's a sulphury smell almost. It's quite hard to describe, but you will get that smell. Don't be alarmed, it's exactly what you want to be smelling. It's a good sign. So what I want to do now is I want to get a clean jar. I'm using a wide mouth ball, which I use these because I find it easier to put a weight down on top with the wide mouth, but really whatever you've got. You might have proper fermenting jars with weights. I do, but they're being used on other things just now. But it's a good opportunity to show you that you don't really need that specialist equipment. Just a jar of any type is good. So start off with your jar and start popping your leaves in and your buds. Simple as that. This looks like too many leaves, but we're really going to compress these in. We want these really squished in. So get as many as you can in to start with. And then you want to use a rolling pin is better. I can't find mine for the life of me, so anything to start smooshing down. What this also does is start smooshing our liquid up there. Your aim here is to have everything. Just use your hand to start squishing, that works. Your aim is to have everything under liquid, basically. If it's not under liquid, it's not going to ferment, it's going to degrade, it's going to start to rot, basically. So at about 3/4 full, I stop. I'll use a smaller jar for these, and then I pop the liquid in. So you've got plenty here to cover it once it's smooshed down. But as you can see, when it's not smooshed down, the leaves are out. When you compress it, it's submerged. So we need to keep this submerged. As I said, you can get proper weights that are fantastic. I'm going to leave a link to them down below, just in case you want to invest in them. But there's many other things you can use. I tend to use one of these little yogurt jars. And I just fill it with water to give it a bit of weight. And that fits in there perfectly. And as you can see, hopefully, it just keeps the leaves under the water. You could use a bag as well, like a sandwich baggie type thing. Fill it with water. They work really well because they kind of meld themselves out to the shape of the jar. I just keep pushing that down until all the leaves are inside. And you can sort of adjust your leaf. You can smoosh any little straggly bits down until you've got it right. Push your jar down. Everybody needs to be under the water. You don't want anybody sticking out. And that's it. That's all your prep done. That's everything you need to do for now. This has to go somewhere sort of at an ambient room temperature. I just keep mine in my kitchen. My kitchen's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's not in bright sunlight. I pop it on a shelf, and you want to leave this about a week. That sulphury smell is going to get stronger. Don't be alarmed. Just it's what you want. That's the smell you want to be getting. And after, you might notice some foaming, bubbling, fizzing. If you see a lot of bubbles trapped in the side, you can use a knife and slide it down the side just to let air out. You don't want too many air pockets in there. But after about a week, give it a taste, see how you feel. You're looking for something slightly almost fizzy, tangy, tart. That garlicky taste should have completely mellowed out. and if you're happy with it at that point, pop a lid on it and pop it in the fridge. If you leave it sealed up with the lid on it, it'll be good probably for a couple of months. Once it's opened and you start using it, you kind of want to use it within a couple of weeks at the most. This is great with salads, sandwiches, really whatever you like. But we're going to pop this aside for a week, and then we'll come back and have a little look and see how it's getting on. Hi guys, so it's been a week and our garlic's been fermenting away happily on the kitchen counter. The really strong smells kind of past now. It's really wilty, really green, just smells really garlicky and amazing. It's got that really fermenty smell, and it's kind of familiar from if you've had sauerkraut, that sort of smell, but garlicky. And this is kind of at the stage I like it. You can taste it a few days before now, you can taste it a few days after, just sort of sample it, it'll just get sourer the longer you leave it. I like it pretty much spot on a week. It's still got a little bit of crunch to it, it's nice and sour, it's really garlicky. So you're probably thinking, now you've done that, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with that big jar of fermented garlic? But I kind of just eat it quite often, to be totally honest. It's full of probiotics, so it's really good for your stomach. Quite often just snack on it. I'll have it on the side of my plate if I'm having I like to have like a cheese plate quite often. So it's really good with cheese. It's good on sandwiches. So, you know, use it how you would any sort of fermented, like sauerkraut. So you can have it on the side of meats and stuff like that. I wish you guys could smell this because it smells absolutely incredible. So as you can see, it's now completely broken down. It's completely wilted, completely soft, but surprisingly when you eat it, it's still got a nice bit of a crunch to it. It's tangy, it's salty, well, not overly salty. It's got that slight fermented sourness to it. To be honest, it's absolutely delicious. I absolutely love it. If you keep this jar shut, it'll be fine in the fridge for months and months. When you start using it, you know, a week, a couple of weeks. I'm totally honest with you, it never lasts that long in our house. I generally pick away at it and it's gone within a week. But yeah, give it a try. You can do this with pretty much any vegetable. You know, traditionally it was done with cabbage, but you can try this with all sorts of things. Lacto fermentation is great. It's a great way to store food. It's a great way to get probiotics. It can be really helpful if you've got any sort of stomach problems or irritability. If you're recovering from any sort of illness, it can be absolutely fab for that. So I just put a normal lid on it to store it, and that's it, into the fridge, and that'll be fine for months. So if you give it a try, let me know what you think. If you already do this and you do anything differently, let me know. There's a few different variants, and it's always interesting to hear what the people do and how other people get on with it. So drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think and how you get on. Thanks guys.